morning guys and welcome to today's lesson. It's a fairly easy one today, it shouldn't take you too long, but it does involve you looking at the source and looking for those clues to see what it tells you. So what am I asking you to do today? So your learning objective is to understand what the Crusades were and when they occurred. Remember, it's a proper noun, it's the name of a set of religious wars, okay? So capital C, just like Romans, like Christians, like Muslims, okay? So what am I going to ask you to do? I'm going to ask you to write the answers to the questions about Christian Crusaders. I'm going to ask you to write questions about Muslim Crusaders. I'm going to ask you to read the key vocabulary, record it if you want to. Obviously, anything you want to record and make notes, that is up to you. Think about the two maps that are shown on the slides, and then just I want you to think about what would make you go to war. If this was you now, what would make you want to fight for something? What would be that important to you? Okay, so let's have a look at this picture. We go this side first of all. Okay, so you can see we've got a picture here. I want you to have a look at what clues are in the picture. Okay, so the first thing you need to ask yourself is, what can you see in this picture? So just have a little bit of a time, pause this video if you want to. Have a little look, what can you see? Okay, hopefully you've given yourself some time to think and not just playing this video. Okay, so have a little look. We've got lots of clues here. We've got this here. What does this mean? Remember your knowledge from Roman times. What were those things used for? Okay, I'm going to try not to give you too many answers now. Have a look at the symbols that you can see. Have a look, what does the horse mean? And think about the colour of the horse and the stance of the horse. What might that suggest to you? Think about what he's got here. Here's our source. Think about the shape, what he's doing. What is this person doing? Is it a man? Is it a woman? That's important as well. Okay, so lots of clues in here. We've got a kind of castle here. So look right thing, and we've got someone from above. What could that be? Something from above. So trying to link some of these clues that you can see in the picture. You could pause it now if you wanted to and just give yourself a bit more time. Or you can move over to the questions. So here are the questions that I want you to try and answer. We've got a pen, which you know means I want you to write these down in some form. So, number one, what can you see? When you look at this picture, what can you see? Bullet points, list of things. Number two, where do you think this man is going? So what do you already know from the last lesson? What do you already think? What do you think? Okay, without looking too far ahead. What words would you use to describe this man? So if we look at his face, if we look at his stance, if we look at what he's doing, what would you say? How would you describe this man? Look at his face. Look at the way he's doing things. Okay. Question 4. What impression do you get of the picture? So when you look at that picture, do you think, excuse me, I got a bit of hay fever. Do you think he looks violent? Do you think he looks aggressive? Or do you think he looks more serene? Does he look calm? Does he look thoughtful? Does he look sorry? Have a really look at his face for me and the angle that his body's in to give you a bit of a clue. How would you feel if this was you? So if you were going off to battle, how would you feel? And what do you think a crusade might be? So again, without forgetting what you did last lesson, that word crusade, remember, this is not capital because we're talking about a vigorous campaign for a change. We're not talking about the Crusades as in the proper noun. So there's picture 1. You could pause that now and you can start working through those questions for me, really looking at that picture. I'm going to move on to the next slide. Okay, right. This time, our picture is very different. You might want to pause now and zoom into that picture on your PowerPoint. Okay, here we go. Here's our picture. What's different? What do you see straight away that might be different? And try and think about why that might be. Why do you think The two different pictures are the same, because I'll give you a clue, they're from the Crusades, both of them. This time, what clues have you got? What can you see? What kind of difference is there in the types of position? Let's go back. Think about this one compared to this one. What's different about it? There are some things the same. The weapons, the horse, they're obviously going into battle. Look what's down the bottom. Look really closely. What might that suggest? This person down the bottom, what's he doing? What might that stretching the hand out mean? Okay, look at his stance. Why is that different from the other one? Look at his face. So a very different source indeed. Who do you think this one might be compared to who do you think that one was? Okay, so questions, a little bit different this time, but you should have gone through some of those questions from the last slide already in your head. So what's different about this picture? What do you think this might be? Who is this? Okay, what's similar about them? And what do you think that might tell us about the Crusades? So thinking about who would have created this. Remember, we did some work on origin, on purpose. Who's created these images and why? Why are they so different when they depict potentially the same event? So you should be thinking hard now. Right, pause that for me, and then I want you to have a go at these questions. Okay, we've got a pen. You can record them in any way you want. Send them to me if you need to. So, moving on, here's some key vocabulary. Here's some words you're going to need over the next few lessons. So we've got crusade. That's a war for the Holy Land between the Muslims and the Christians during the medieval period. Saracens, that's a medieval word for a Muslim. Foul means disgusting and horrible. Infidel, people who do not believe in Christianity. Bandits, people who rob or steal, and the Pope is the person of the leader of the Catholic Church. They're just some of the words that you're going to need. Now then, there's a map on the next slide. All I need you to do is have a look at the map and look. We've got two symbols this time. I want you to look and think. Read and think. So here we go. Here's our map. So this is a map from medieval time. Okay, let me go to the other side so you can see the question. Okay, this is a map and we can see we've got Europa here, we've got Asia, we've got Africa. So in that time, and then we've got a few more places around, dotted around, but you can see they believed in this shape here, that this was the shape of the world. But interestingly enough, you could see in the middle, we have Jerusalem. Okay, so what do you think that tells us about people in medieval times thought about Jerusalem and why? What do you already know about Jerusalem? What do you know about the three Abrahamic religions and where that originated? Think about what you know about Muhammad. Think about what you know about Jesus and link that all together. So why do you think that's at the centre of the world? And what impact is that going to have? Okay, yet, if we look at the next map, this is a current map of the world. Again, we're reading and we're thinking. Don't just go through these slides, try to think about the questions. Here's Jerusalem. Okay, still in the middle really of the world if you're looking at it this way, but because we know the map is a sphere, there is no middle, is there? Okay, so how does this differ? What's different about this? And how does that show how we've changed? How have people changed? Because remember that crusade is a social change, a religious change. So how do you think that changes how we think? Do you think people in medieval times would have been surprised if they'd seen a world map like this? Okay, the next few slides are for you to read. I'm not going to read them out to you because you know them. I'll just flick through and just highlight a few maybe words you might not already know. So, Christians, this was a place Jesus had lived, crucified, buried. Pilgrimage was very important at this time, and Jerusalem was the holiest place to visit. And then Muslim, that's when Muhammad ascended to heaven, so went to heaven. Muslim Arabs had control of the city, so a few things there. Okay, and then we've got a bit more for you to read there. I'm not going to read it for you. You should be reading this. and then we've got your final task of the day. So really this is a real thinking task and a reading task, and understanding some of the main reasons why people went on a crusade. Your next lesson goes a lot more deeper. Okay, so what I want you to think about is what would make you go to war and fight for someone else, or what would make you go on a crusade in the Middle Ages. So here's your extension really. Think about you first. Remember I always say go for you first, try and link that knowledge, then extend out to, okay then, so if you're in the Middle Ages, what would make you go on a crusade? Why do you think that would be important, just based on what you know? So I want a full paragraph from you, okay? Details, it doesn't need to be PEE at this stage. I just need real details as to why you would, what you would go to war for right now. And then extend that to think about you as medieval. So for this whole lesson, it sounds short when you watch this video, but there's a lot of thinking and a bit of writing to do in those questions. This is what I've asked you to do. Write answers to the questions in any way that you want to. Write answers to the questions about the second one. Record that key vocabulary if you want to, but you need to at least read it. Think about the two maps, and then I want a paragraph, and try and do that extension paragraph as well. Okay, so that's lesson 2. I'm going to try and get lesson 3 done really quickly, and hopefully we can get ahead. Just a few questions. I'm getting a lot from the same questions. Where do you write the work? What if you haven't got the book? That sort of thing. Well, obviously, kind of everything is up in the air at the moment. As long as you're completing the work, it really doesn't matter where that work is. So just try and work through the PowerPoints that your excellence teacher is giving you, and try and get some of those answers down. Thanks for listening, and stay safe.